FBI Director Patel is also working aggressively and complying with congressional record requests. So Kash Patel getting some criticisms. Do you actually work at the FBI? Are you doing anything over there? And Pam Bondi too. You just got nominated. Is there anything you're doing that we can hear from you on? Kash Patel says he's working aggressively to comply with congressional record requests ahead of the deadlines. He's working aggressively. That should allay some concerns. On Friday, the FBI sent a letter to the House Judiciary Committee notifying them it was handing over a tranche of documents. Fox News Digital has learned that the records shared by the FBI included more than 400 pages on topics the committee has long been seeking, going all the way back to Biden, like Garland, school board memo, and more. So the FBI is going to be dumping a bunch of this out over to Congress. Hopefully there's some good stuff inside. We, of course, are not going to hold our breath. Now, Kash Patel said this too. Our team has been working day and night to produce documents for Chairman Grassley and Chairman Jordan, and this is only the beginning. To rebuild trust, your FBI will be opening the books at levels never done before. We sure hope so. They say he's personally asking staff for updates. Like, did you get that together? They're like, oh yeah, Kash, we're working on it right now. Kash leaves. They're all like, ugh. They all mock him as soon as he leaves the room. So we're glad he's asking about it. Hopefully he delivers. But I got to tell you, thus far, the performance from these two has been outside of the norm of the performance of other agencies. And it's a disappointment thus far. We'll see if that continues or not. Now, meanwhile, in Washington, D.C., we have BLM Plaza being dismantled. It was around for 5 years, but now they're going to threaten to withhold the funding for the city. And now they're just jackhammering that puppy out of there. You can see they brought in some heavy machinery to get rid of it. Work is now being done to dismantle the George Floyd and Breonna Taylor Black Lives Matter Plaza street mural. Oh, reconstruction at the site of the huge yellow painted letters close to the White House follows calls to withhold the city's funding unless it removes that. And I got a letter from the Secretary of Transportation. The project is part of DC America's 250 murals scheme, where we will invite students and artists to create new murals across all 8 wards. What a joke. No one wants your crap liberal art. The mural inspired millions and helped our city through a very painful period, said Bowser. That's what helps you cope, painting a street like this? Gosh, what an ugly street. Says, but now we can't afford to be distracted by meaningless congressional interference. The devastating impacts of federal jobs cuts must be our number one concern, and so we're going to get rid of it. Monday's dismantling of the mural was greeted by triumph by conservatives, slammed by those on the left. What a ridiculous thing they even did that. I didn't really realize they did that. Could you imagine if you're one of these businesses? Like, this is your business. You want people to come stay at your hotel, and now they have to look out the window on some grifting, racist, fake movement by leaders who got new houses? Is that what we want? The world is healing, says Libs of TikTok, since it's being demolished now. Says the divisive road graffiti in DC is finally being removed. Black Lives Matter Plaza is getting obliterated. And it's interesting. They can't just paint over it. They got to jackhammer that concrete out. Wow. I'm for it. Says the only people celebrating the dismantling of BLM Plaza are racist, fragile white people, said some person on X. Racist and fragile. That was Trump's hotel. They put that right outside of front of Trump's hotel. A bill introduced last week aims to withhold certain apportionment funds from DC unless they get rid of it. And this letter also came out to Mayor Muriel Bowser. Here's what this one looked like. Saying, from the Secretary of Transportation, Sean Duffy, you know who he is, I'm writing to request your assistance in making DC safe and beautiful once again and restoring our nation's capital with a focus on safe travel and restoring pride to our community. The U.S. Department of Transportation has strong partnerships with the district's transportation. I would like to further our strong partnership with you. Now, I'm concerned that some of the practices are not aligned with the goals of efficient operation for all road users. For example, the application of murals or other forms of artwork within the traveled way can distract. People actually want to travel. It distracts motorists, bicyclists, pedestrians, and others. There's no demonstrated safety or operational purpose. It adversely impacts traffic control devices like streetlights. They were installed intentionally to draw attention to their message rather than promote the safety on the road. Any public roadway should use all real property and its associated right-of-way exclusively for a road. The focus on safety includes traffic signs, signals, pavement markings that guide pedestrian and vehicular traffic. This allows road users to instantly recognize and react to traffic control devices. Representative Eleanor Holmes' office recently contacted Federal Highway Administration, underscoring my concerns. Now, I request that you submit a written report to me about your murals and roadway non-compliance. With these shared goals, please outline any steps you plan to take as mayor to ensure that these roadways are safe. Please let me know what your plan is. Signed, Secretary Sean T. Duffy. And now they're getting rid of it. Not playing around on the removal. And it's been good to see that become a road again, as it should be. Now, yesterday I mentioned on the show that Mark Elias was having a meltdown on MSNBC. Here's a short clip of that. And it was an interesting segment. I wouldn't encourage you to listen to the whole thing, but I forget who this host is. I always forget her name. Nicole Wallace, I think. She had on Andrew Weissman and Mark Elias, and it was a wild exchange. I actually listened to quite a bit of it because they were screaming at other law firms. They're like, where are the other lawyers out there? Trump is coming and removing everybody's security provisions and clearances and so on. And where are the rest of our attorneys, right? It was a call to action from both of these guys. And they were freaked out. And listen to this exchange, because he says, you know who else goes after the law firms? The Nazis. You know who else? The Russians.
I've been doing a lot of reading in the last few weeks and months. You know who instituted a system of justice like this?
Sophisticated.
The Nazis. Hans Frank, who was the Nazis' head lawyer, changed essentially the German legal code and said that no longer were lawyers
to what, prosecute his political opponents?
To advocate for their clients. They were to advocate for the state. And that if they advocated for their clients adverse to the state, they themselves were committing a crime. And that transformed the legal establishment to pave the way years later for what became the Holocaust. You know who else has a legal system like this?
Putin.
Russia, right? In Russia today, if you are a lawyer and you defend clients that are considered to be enemies of Vladimir Putin and you make arguments that displeases the regime, you yourself face liability. And look, the American legal system is far away from Nazi Germany and is far away from Putin's Russia. But I do think we need to recognize that an independent judiciary only works with an independent legal system.
Hilarious.
I've been doing a lot of reading.
The Justice Department is not legal. And the Democratic operatives who were working hard to try to illegally, in my opinion, illegally incriminate Trump, Bannon, Navarro, the J6ers, the rest of them, don't deserve an interface with the government under this administration. They're not entitled to that. So if they want to play with fire, then they have to assume the risks. And in this case, they got burned. But now he's saying that every other law firm, and by the way, Perkins Coie, his former law firm, did hire some apparently really good law firm in Washington, D.C. Like I've never heard of them, but a really good law firm that everybody's like, oh my gosh, he got them. So Perkins Coie is hiring them, and they're going to go into court and say, we have open, active cases with these clients. Our security privilege is necessary, and you cannot revoke it because that's a due process violation, right? Then we can't do our jobs representing our clients. And the Trump administration can just turn around and say, fine, that's fine. You can finish out access on that case. Like any open cases, you're good. Okay, you can finish those out. But you're not getting new cases. We're not working with you on new cases or giving you access to national security stuff on new cases. So good luck. And that really stigmatizes that law firm, right? And if you're a big, powerful DC law firm and you now have the federal government that is your enemy, you're not going to get clients at all. It's not going to be good. It'd be like when I was practicing, if my law firm had made the prosecutors so furious that we never got plea deals at all. And in fact, every case had to go to trial and prosecutors never gave us any benefit of the doubt. That would actually be like a disservice to our clients if we operated our firm that way. And some lawyers do. Some lawyers are like the spectrum with lawyers. Some lawyers are go along, get along, very easy. They don't like to fight too much, don't like to file motions. Then there's other lawyers who are extremely litigious, right? And extremely aggressive. And when it comes to prosecutors, you have to find your balance, right? Some prosecutors require more of this. Some prosecutors require more of this. It depends. Some courts, some jurisdictions require more of one side or some of the other. But if you mismatch your jurisdiction, if you go into a prosecutor who, and many prosecutors are pretty decent, You just say, hey man, look, this is what my client wants. This is what happened. He'd be okay with this outcome. I know you're asking for this. Can you give us this outcome? He's actually, yeah, that sounds good. Sure. I'm in a good mood today. You go, oh, great. You don't have to file a gajillion motions in order to get that done. You just go in and have a conversation because you're cool dudes. You're like bros. You just get it done. Your client's happy. The state closes their case. It's all done. That's one strategy. But basically what's happening here is Mark Elias is trying to disturb other lawyers to get off the sidelines, right? Don't go along and get along with the Trump administration. Come over here and be actively litigious, right? Fight them at every turn. And some of those firms, right? They're the right firms for the right cases, but you may not get as good of outcomes, in my opinion, as some of these other firms where you can just walk in and just get deals because you're just a good dude, right? And he's a good dude. He takes good clients. He's going to make sure, okay, cool. And you get stuff done that way. But he's encouraging people to get active, get off the sidelines, come out there and wage war against the Trump administration. But I don't think that many people are going to be rallied thanks to Mark Elias at all.